Roblox, that's the online gaming platform, makes it easy for users to create their own content and share it with friends. Think of Roblox as the true inventor of the metaverse. For a while, this one was viewed as a pandemic play, but it's one of the few that has transcended that now lackluster cohort. I am a big fan of CEO Dave Baszucki, and I think you need to treat any further weakness as a buying opportunity.
I like one stock that trades on sales is Roblox, right? I mean, I don't consider Roblox in the same category as some of those because you actually have innovation there. You have something that's unique and you have a moat around your business. That is something you want to look for. So you could catch a falling knife in some of the others, thing like Roblox that's come down over 20%. If you haven't nibbled, it could be a chance for us to get more of it.
I mean, I'm looking at Roblox right now, and assuming I'm looking at the right information, I mean, that's 39 times sales. That's still expensive in the kind of world that you all are talking about. It's not like, Sarat, every other name on the list that I read you, and I didn't even finish the list. Those have real innovation. Those are real businesses. They have real fundamentals.
Well, no, it's not out of a hat. I've talked about it before. I've owned it. But you would ask for, well, what are you going to pick in some of the stocks that have come down that are trading at price to sales? We've done a lot of work on. That's where we're more comfortable for the long term. I don't know where it's going to be 3 to 6 months, but I feel that has a moat around its business that some of the others, like a DocuSign and a Peloton, don't as much.
George, what about you? Are you buying NFTs?
No, I don't. And it is not, I'm not making a judgment about NFTs. I'm a serial collector because I want this museum to be a great museum. So all my collection is going to be coming here. But we have a guy that we invest in his company. I'm not even going to mention, you'll probably know. And he doodles with his kids, and he had some doodling pages, and somebody said, why don't you just put it at Christie's or Sotheby's or whatever it was. They sold the 3 doodles. He's not an artist. He's never drawn, for $400,000 each.
Cathie wants to say something.
Yeah, 2 things. One, that would seem inconsistent with what I said about inflation, but it's not, because inflation is about goods and services, and what we're seeing there is the velocity of money coming down. It started in 08, 09, but on NFTs, it's the greatest thing to happen to artists. There's a company called Async Art. When I first heard this, it was like an aha moment for me. This is really going to stimulate and cause some profound changes in the creator world. But artists, even with physical art, turning it into digital. NFTs, this is a property rights system. It's a very interesting phenomenon because we are moving into the digital world.
And I understand that. And let me tell you, as an old-timer and a lover of art and a passionate lover of art, I hope people don't lose coming to museums and experiencing the beauty of art on a personal basis. There is nothing like it. Yes, I can understand how we will create new energies, and the beauty of art is always the personal experience of watching the art.
So we have an art gallery. It's called Signum Arc Gallery, and it's all NFTs, digital art, and it is a thing of beauty as well.
Meta shares up today by about 3%, but it has had a tumultuous ride since whistleblower revelations and backlash against how its social media platforms deal with violence and teen imaging.
I think the biggest driver behind Facebook now trading, well below its peak, I actually think comes back to just core advertising, how you can effectively deliver and measure advertising on mobile devices. Facebook with effectively the leader in that space. And so what we're seeing is effectively the IDFA impacts permeating. It's certainly been an industry-wide, I'd almost say, sell-off, as we've learned. The IDFA effects are real, material, and it's going to take time to work through that. Now, there's certainly other things kind of compounding it that we're seeing with Facebook and now Meta, as you mentioned, but we're also going through this whole renaming change as investors try to digest and underwrite what exactly is the metaverse, then the $12 billion plus that they're spending on that initiative this year.
Even though it's changed its name and it's looking ahead now from, I guess, being a company where you can share experiences to a place of shared experiences. But isn't Facebook still going to be followed by all of the legal issues?
Through some of my investor conversations, there's been a lot more jokes about what exactly is the metaverse, which is certainly, a different narrative than what we had the previous 2 months. But, in my view, I think many of those challenges, whether they're coming from media or technical or regulatory, I don't think those go away. I think that's just a part of doing business as a large company in an uncharted space, which is exactly what Facebook and now Meta is effectively operating in. And we've seen this pretty much since I think the Cambridge Analytica scandal broke. There's constant news flow and there's constant kind of pull and tug around how to think about many of these issues have and what's the role of social media in society. Those just aren't going to go away.
And Mark, I want to turn your attention to, its ad platform. Obviously, that's a tremendous source of revenue. Do you think that there will be a move away? Has there been a move away by some companies, because of the imaging and because of all the revelations that came from the whistleblower, advertisers to maybe walk back a little bit?
So far, at least in my conversations, I haven't seen that. And part of it is really separating out the news flow versus, I would argue, the reality of what's actually taking place on the platforms. The number one thing that advertisers look at, I would say, is, what types of content is on the platform. And as an advertiser of a specific brand, how do I feel about my brand being adjacent to specific types of content? That type of activity and that type of an advertiser behavior, effectively speaking with their wallets in the past. We certainly did have a boycott, if you recall, at the start of the pandemic, where many advertisers effectively walked out for a variety of reasons. And I believe Facebook's done a decent enough job addressing those issues that advertisers have effectively come back to the platform and have continued to embrace it.
Bitcoin itself has gone more global. We've seen, for example, in El Salvador. All I would say is I got in 2 bull markets ago. Bitcoin goes through 4-year cycles, and we tend to, at this point in the cycle, have a lot of new buyers come in, and some may end up with losses. That was me 2 cycles ago.
I know so much about crypto is decentralization, changing the rules and all of that. Have we got glimpses in recent months that trading at the weekend is not sensible?
Well, it's interesting. It is a 24/7, 365 market, and you can have big moves overnight. So there is some evidence that those who, especially in the Bitcoin futures market, that you tend to see bigger moves overnight and on weekends. You're absolutely right. So you do have to be careful if you are a rapid trader to make sure that that your positions are appropriately fixed before you go to bed or before you sign off for the weekend if you're not watching it 24/7, 365, because you can see big moves. This 4-year cycle in Bitcoin is characterized by the increase in leverage. That didn't exist in the prior cycles in Bitcoin, and that definitely is kicking the price around, especially with the introduction of the ETF, which is reduced the price volatility. It's actually gone up.
I'm curious, Caitlin, about your own business. As a bank focused on crypto, how exactly does that work?
We don't have our Federal Reserve charter yet. We're chartered by the state of Wyoming. We'll be able to operate in all 50 states, and we will be opening in 2022 for business. The bank regulators are trying to figure out, they're saying, do they want that they do want all these activities, especially with regard to stablecoins, to be inside the regulated perimeter.
Would you suggest that they should bring all of the existing coins that exist at the moment under the regulatory framework and allow those to be the centerpiece?
The type of coins that most concern regulators and should most concern regulators are those that are actually directly linked to the U.S. dollar. Every U.S. dollar has to settle through the Federal Reserve. You started to see the increased interest from regulators because it was a whole new U.S. dollar payment system.